Coming up on this episode of Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover.
It's come out and it's blown us away, really. The whole of Broncos country has rallied around Jarrett Stidham in a way I've not seen before. I don't know if you've got a lot of Broncos sort of people on Twitter, but everyone's changed their picture to Jarrett Stidham, NBA sort of, he's in his shades.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover. It's our penultimate preview show of the season as we're down to our final four. It's the Conference Championship games, and we're here to preview them both, share our best bets, and we've even got a fantastic guest joining us to help us do so. Before that, we're going to talk about the latest hirings in the coaching carousel that continues to go round and round in the NFL. But I'm joined. I've got some amigos with me this time. It's Byron and Joe, both back. Some traveling time from Joe and some internet issues from Byron kept them out of the last episode, but returning this week. Gentlemen, how are you both doing? I am very grateful that you're back to accompany me because it was a brutal divisional review show.
Yeah, I thought you'd done well to stretch out to 90 minutes. It felt like, what was it, an hour and 20, an hour and 40? Hell of a show. No, well done, mate. Impromptu. I was meant to be with you, but yeah, my internet just does not like the cold, which is not great in Chicago, where currently we have exploding tree warnings. A very real thing. It's so cold that trees explode. It sounds like a gunshot. Do not go into the forest to examine it because, you know, it might be a gunshot. These are literal warnings we've been getting this last week. That is not NFL related, but I thought it was worthy of mention because I don't remember hearing much about exploding trees before. But yeah, thank you for doing the show solo. And yeah, we're in championship season. What a weekend it was, and what a couple of games we have coming up.
Yeah, we've got 3 games left. Embrace it. Joe, safely back in Canada. Good to have. Are you ready to return? Final stretch. We've got four shows left. That's it. 4 shows before we take a well-earned break. Ready to roll?
Yeah, looking forward to it. Obviously, it may have been a good thing that I wasn't on the podcast last week with how my team played and the situations.
Yeah.
So I conveniently missed all the 4 teams I was rooting for lost. And so maybe it was punishment for not being on the pod. So maybe the power of the good teams and great teams cover has that strong of a version. But no, it's great to be back talking about the Conference Championships, and both of them are set up one a bit weirder than the other, but should be both 2 good games for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, look, I'll embrace the unexpected in the NFL, and we've certainly got that in the AFC Championship game. We'll get to that shortly, but yeah, let's talk about the main news because it's just come from the
No way, it's come from the crop
on the divisional review show. We've got over Kevin Stefanski's hiring by the Falcons and Sean McDermott's firing by the Bills. Let's start. Joe, we'll start kind of 49ers related. Robert Saleh leaves the Niners as defensive coordinator and goes to join the Tennessee Titans. His second shot at an NFL head coaching gig after his time with the New York Jets. What do you make of then Saleh leaving? Expected, I guess. He kind of thought he'd probably get a job, but were you surprised it's this one, given probably not a desirable one?
I think it's tricky. Like, I expected him to go. I think at the start of the year, I was hoping, like, obviously he would have a good season and we could keep him for a few years. And obviously his reputation at the end of the Jets run wasn't the greatest compared to the time. So I think obviously with all the firings, I think if it was just a couple of firings, then he may have not got it. But I think with all the positions that he was such a strong candidate, he turned this 49ers defense, which we talked about all year, which were absolutely battered and bruised, and how many injuries they had, and it made them, maybe not a good defense, but like they kept him in games and he got them to the division championship. So what he did for that team was incredible. It sounded like Titans was his number 1 choice, which does sound surprising because it sounded like the Titans were leaning towards Matt Nagy until they had the meeting with Robert Saleh, and I think it's 3.5 hour meeting, and they were like, "This is our guy." So I think it's a good hire for them. He should hopefully change their defense. It's hard to remember that the Jets defense when he was there was number 1 a number of years, and suddenly when he left, when he got fired, That went downhill, and you saw what it was like last year. So I think he's certainly going to improve that. Obviously, we will hope that he's learned a lot of things, because I think his head coaching, like there's no denying how good he is as a defensive coach and what he can do there, but the head coach as a whole wasn't amazing at the Jets, and he does need to change that around. It sounds like he wants to call his plays a lot more this time. I think he handed it off, and he said that he felt like he was a bit disjointed, so he's going to keep that kind of playing. And again, we always say when it is a defensive head coach, it's so important what that OC is, because you've got Cam Ward, who's such a I think he had a good first year for a rookie. For a first pick, he's probably what you expected from him. But there's still like leaps and bounds for him to go to become the kind of player they expect when you pick that high. And they've got to do a lot. It's a team that needs a lot on both sides of the ball, but I feel like they should focus on the offense to at least help Cam Ward have that progression. So yeah, so it's huge who he hires as the OC. I think he should be good in the defense. I think he can attract a lot of people. But why I wasn't surprised with the Titans as a whole, because when you look at the other ones where he was being rumored with, like the Raiders, even the Browns and things like that, like, is the Titans a lot worse? You've got your quarterback, you've got a high pick, you've got some key players on defense like your Jeffrey Simmons, and it just feels like he just needs one or two good drafts, and they could have a great defense and have a good offense. But I think fair play to him. I do like the hire, but can he do that step up? Because I think, I think it was like a few years ago when there was we had 8 or 10 hirings, and 8 of them have already been fired. So you just hope he doesn't go down that road again, where we're 3 years time and he's back to being the 49ers DC. So fingers crossed for him, and hope he works out.
Yeah, actually, it just seemed a good opportunity. It feels like it's one he's going to need time, and obviously they decided quite quickly Bill Callahan wasn't the one, obviously, in terms of coming in, and so where they were ended up with the number 1 pick, and then going, well, after 7 games he got fired this season, was it 7-8 games? It wasn't, I don't think he even got to halfway, and it was like, well, what were you expecting? So ultimately I think he does need time, but I think he'll just give them a bit of more sound floor, I guess, with that. And yeah, I agree. I thought Cam did okay in a real bad situation, so interesting to see if he can make progression. Byron, what do you make of it?
Sorry, I was on mute. Charlie was making his feelings very clear. He's very angry about it. I don't know whether it's because he's wanted the Niners to keep Salah a little longer. Yeah, I think ultimately, I was kind of surprised that it seems to be his first choice, but, especially once you've already had a failed head coach opportunity, if you can get a seat, you just take it. Hope for the best. We've seen Kellen Moore, kind of his first coaching job with the Saints. We're like, oh, this is going to be rough. And I think he really upped his reputation after a solid year in New Orleans, and we thought, so talent poor, it's going to be really tough for him. I think the OC hire is going to be crucial because he needs to get Cam Ward ticking, and that isn't going to be Robert Saleh's job. But ultimately, that franchise is going to come down to, unless Robert Saleh can get that defense as a top 5 unit, which I think would be asking an awful lot. I think, but then it's going to be.
I was just going to say, but then again, he did it for the Jets. He got to the best defense in the league, and they still didn't do anything. So it is, like you said, it's all about Cam Ward.
Yeah, exactly. So that's going to be really important. I was really hoping he'd get Mike McDaniel. We'll touch on Mike in a little bit. I think that would have been a dream fit for Cam Ward and for Robert Saleh, really. But yeah, I'm optimistic. I'm pleased Saleh got another go, though, because he seems a real good leader. And I think one thing that I haven't really seen much mention of, that means we're going to have 2 games of Robert Saleh versus Liam Cohen next year.
Yes.
So a good Titans team, an ascending Texans defense. Maybe the offense gets a bit better. I love the Jags. The Colts, who knows what they do next year? This could be a really spicy division. And yeah, Cohen and Saleh going at it twice a year has got to be fun, I think, because they've already laid the groundwork. So
excellent. Next up, then, we will stay in the AF. In fact, they're all AFC related. So we'll go to the Miami Dolphins. Packers defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley becomes the head coach. Quite the flip from Mike McDaniel, I guess. But just
I hate it.
Polar opposite from Mike McDaniel. Go and get in. I suppose the Packers were on pace to probably have a top 5 defense. Didn't really work out, but you get in a guy from, cold of Green Bay, defensive guy, maybe more rugged, physical, all those things that we've criticized the Dolphins for not being. They're hiring a head coach who they believe can give them that. What do you make of Halfley to the Dolphins. Byron, if you want to take this one.
Yeah, I already interrupted you a little there to say I hate it. So, I mean, that kind of tells you where I am. The noise coming out immediately is that they want to be a physical football team. And that requires a huge overhaul because there's one thing you could say about the Miami Dolphins under Mike McDaniel. They are not a physical team. They are a fast team. They can call offense really well. That defense had ups and downs, certainly. I think they overproduced this year relative to the talent on the team. With the roster that is being given over the last few years, I thought the GM needed to go before Mike McDaniel. I don't know if the Dolphins necessarily regret losing Mike McDaniel. We'll see, I guess, in time to come. But I think he coached pretty well, especially this year when the chips were down. I think the players bought in pretty well. Obviously, with Quinn Ewers, things weren't so good, but they did win a game, which I think is quite an achievement. I just hate the fit. There's nothing Jeff Hafley's done in his NFL career to inspire me and think he's their NFL head coach. The Packers could have had a really good unit this year, but I mean, they added Micah Parsons and they've had 45 first-round draft picks on that defense over the last 10 years. So, they should be good. There's a lot of talent there. I just don't like it. I don't have high hopes for the Dolphins. My short-term mindset is, I know you touched on the Bills on Monday. I want to see the lines as soon as possible and get the under on the Dolphins and get the under on the Bills next year.
And just obviously, we talked about kind of, how the process works sometimes. It's new GM is John Eric Sullivan, who's come from Green Bay, and they had 2 years together. And I mentioned it before we started recording. They look like identical twins. It's scary. If you see the press conference, I just got to see the clips. It's bizarre. But obviously, they seem to be pals. So, yeah, I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, I would say, I agree with Byron in some sense. I'm curious. It felt like they got rid of Mike McDaniels because of some of the other firings with John Harbaugh and a few others. So I'm curious, what would have happened if they were like, okay, you're not going to get them. Would you still get rid of him? Obviously, they improved his first year was there because they were a bit disastrous the year before. It felt like a lot of interceptions, and they obviously went downhill massively with Mike Parsons. I would say the only good thing is he has got head coaching experience at the college level at Boston College. I don't know if you can speak to that a little bit more, Paul, but at least it's not like a defensive coordinator. Just it's his first head coaching job, and he's overawed about what the actual it takes to be a head coach. At least he's had 4 years of doing that in college, so he hopefully should be able to kick on straight away. But I think with the Dolphins, it's just such a mess of we always talk about quarterback, but what the hell are they going to do there with Tua and everything? I think that could, hamstring him straight away. That if you have to get rid of Tua, you have no cap room. You don't have it's hard to draft a rookie where they are, and then suddenly, a year or two down the line, because that cap space is still there, which we've seen with plenty of other teams. That he struggles, and it's a quick job in Miami.
Yeah, it's tough one to work to. We talk about it's good that he's had head coaching experience in college. Yeah, it was very, very different. Going the journey that college players go through to what these established professionals are. And look, we've even seen the greatest college head coach struggle to adapt, specifically at the Miami Dolphins. Saban was a failure there before he went back to college. Before he then goes on a run with Alabama in college. So not easy, and we'll see. I don't know if it's quite a safe move. If you need kind of the full culture reset and stuff like that, I feel like you need to make a play for one of the big guns, and I don't think that's what they've done. So I feel like it could just be just moving nowhere if you're the Dolphins, but we shall see. And the third one, AFC hiring that's happened just before it was confirmed just before we started recording. Ravens hire, I nearly said San Diego, Los Angeles Chargers defensive coordinator Jesse Minter as their new head coach, becomes the fourth head coach of the Baltimore Ravens. What do you think of Minter? Minter to the Ravens? It feels like a solid hire.
Yeah, I think Minter's had a real good reputation his 2 years in the NFL, and obviously came well regarded from Michigan previously. Seems like a real Ravens-y hire. I would dare say, really guy who gets the culture, going to be really strong on defense, which I'm really interested to see how he uses Kyle Hamilton, because Derwin James had a really good year this year under him. So, yeah, I think it's a really good hire. And we kind of touched on, we'll get to Mike McDaniel as well. This leaves Mike McDaniel take the Chargers OC job because he was going for the Ravens head coaching job. And if he didn't get it, he was going to take the Chargers OC job. So big ups for LA Chargers on offense as well. But yeah, I think that's a real win-win for both there. Chargers get a great OC and Ravens get a head coach who I think everyone's got like up arrows on. I think great job in the NFL so far and well deserving of his shot.
Yeah, top 5 defense I think the Chargers ended up with this season. So yeah, and after I think they gave it the fewest points in 2024, fewest points per game. So I think it fits in with a team that's all about their defense and having a mean, nasty. When the Ravens have been successful, they've had a mean, nasty, difficult defense to play against. So I feel like that's what ultimately they're going to try and produce again, kind of in that core identity of the Ravens of building kind of winning teams and winning football there in Baltimore. Do you want to take on the Mike McDaniel chat then? Because you were wanting to chat about that before we started.
Well, I was just going to say about Minchard. Sorry. Yeah, I actually love the hire. I think just his age and just it felt like he was just set that's the kind of person Baltimore wants, and just what he's done. And plenty of puns are already like for next season's preview of the divisions. Is perfect last name. A good Minter. Yeah, I like that Mike McDaniel. It was just strange that when he signed, there was like the third line of the announcement was like he will be the OC unless he gets a head coaching, and he's like not been signed yet. So still that weird thing. So you never know that someone. I think I know he's rejected the Browns, but there could be someone else start poking around. But he felt like the Ravens was the one he was after. But I think it's great for the Chargers. Obviously, he's gone from Miami living on the beach to going to California to live on the beach. It's probably no wonder why he's rejected the Browns job to move into Ohio instead of California. So I think it's great. It should be great for them. Obviously, the 49ers, he was like the run coordinator, and that was their strength during them times. It wasn't amazing at the end of Miami. So I'm curious how. I feel like it's a great hire on paper. I think it's a big opportunity and a big. It could be not great for him too. That if he doesn't produce here, because he's got the quarterback and he's got the offensive line. I know it's not being great, but when the two injured tacklers come back, they should have a decent O-line. So let's hope he can actually prove again that he is a good offensive coordinator, because I don't think he has the last couple of years. But being around John Harbaugh and having that kind of situation might help him. So yeah, great hire for the Chargers.
So we're down to the Bills, Browns, Raiders, Steelers, Cardinals.
Yeah, 5. Yeah.
So we've still got 5 to fill. Interesting to see, how we go. I'm sure in the next few days we will see more of those jobs filled. Right. Bit of news then to open. Shall we head to our guest? Excellent. Good. I'm glad you agree. We've got a guest helping us preview the AFC Championship game. It's the Patriots at the Broncos. And we've got Mark Tong, one of the founders of Broncos Europe, and his own content as well, additional content, Mark on Broncos, joining me. We preview the game, see what Mark thinks from a Broncos perspective. So let's hear. Kicking off our conference championship preview, we've got a Denver Broncos guest joining us. We've got Mark Tong joining us from Mark on Broncos and Denver Broncos Europe. Mark, we've had you on the show before as part of our fans drafts and fans on the clock, but never for a proper sit down. So welcome to the show properly. How are you doing, first of all?
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm all good. It's a delight to be here. Like I say, I listen to every episode I can. It's a great one to listen to whilst driving to work. Like I said, I've been on the fans draft, but I've never been on the podcast. So it's nice to make my debut on. And what time to do it as a Broncos fan heading into AFC Championship weekend.
Yeah, it's a big one. We'll get into the game in detail to preview it, of course. You've got obviously cover a lot for the Denver Broncos from the UK and Europe side of things. Tell us a little bit, Mark, then in terms of tell us about Broncos Europe, what it's about, where we can follow it, and tell us about Mark on Broncos as well.
Yeah, so obviously I run Broncos Europe. I helped found it with a guy in Ireland, might know him, Michael McQuaid, gone on to big things there with the Football Ireland. He left us for the big time, but I carried on going with Broncos Europe, and we're just the aim of the group is just to connect Broncos country this side of the pond, and we're growing each season. We're working with the Broncos each season when they come over and hosting some good events. So I know in London we had over 140 people at a meet up after the game, the night before the game. Sorry, and it's just like I said, connecting people, and that's what I wanted to do. We've got a fantastic community in WhatsApp where we chat all game long, and yeah, it's good fun. And then obviously I've got my secondary sort of NFL themed Twitter, which just says I was boring all my friends on Twitter who didn't want any NFL content. So I created Mark on Broncos just for my sort of Broncos stuff on there, and people are welcome to follow me on there and get a very biased Broncos view.
Excellent. Make sure you go follow our Broncos Europe, Mark on Broncos. We're having a run of people on the show at the minute. I've got some sort of connection to Michael McQuaid. I think it's like the fourth week in the row.
He's well known, isn't he? He's a well known guy.
He's everywhere. Shout out Michael, and it's the Pro Football Ireland as well. But it's been, I mean, I was just setting up and prepping for this. Obviously, the Broncos themselves had an incredible season. I think it's just sort of lost on me, and maybe it's on other people as well. We're 2.5 years out from, I'm not saying over 2.5 years, 18 months or so out from when the Broncos got hammered by 70 by the Dolphins. The turnaround in that time from September 2024 to where we are now is insane. How has that journey been? Obviously, Sean Payton, the driving force of it. How has that kind of been over the last 18 months to go from kind of a real low to kind of what the last 2 seasons have been like?
It's been like a proper turning point in the sort of our current state as the Broncos, isn't it? You know, that game was horrendous to watch. It was just, no one saw it coming, and they just kept going. And yeah, I don't like talking about it too much, but obviously, but you know, we're still carrying a massive cap hit from Russell Wilson, which is one of the worst trades and contract extensions ever in the NFL. Only really overshadowed by Deshaun Watson's debacle there. But you know, it's just been, and we're building. We've got Bo Nix in, you know, who's proved this season that he is our quarterback of the future. We've gone through that sort of sophomore slump. That could have happened. It didn't happen. He's won plenty of games this year to prove that. And once you get your quarterback, you're set, aren't you, really? And you can start putting pieces around him. We've already got the same O-line that we kept last year. All 5 pieces came back. Long-term extensions on pretty much every one of them. Big money on. So if you can protect Bo Nix, it's going to help in the long term. What we're missing really is sort of the skill players on the offense. The defense has been incredible for years, always has. And they say defense wins championships, doesn't it? And hopefully, once again, that will prove to be the case, which I'm sure we'll get into in a little bit. But yeah, it's just been Sean Payton's is one hell of a coach, really. So I was a bit uneasy trading picks for him, not really knowing too much about him. Obviously, I know a lot about him now, but trading picks for a coach was a bit of an unknown for me. So, but I'm glad we did it. He's come in and he's changed the philosophy. He's got involved in pretty much every stage of the every stage of the building and the process behind the club. And I think one thing that goes unnoticed actually is the attention to detail from the ownership group. Obviously, we got sold for I think it was $4 billion or something like that. Big stupid money. Rob Walton wasn't going to get outbid basically because it went to auction, didn't it? It had to be the highest bidder, and I think he basically would have gone, whatever the highest bid is, I'm going to go higher because he's got stupid Walmart money and is now the richest owner in the NFL, which helps that they relay the pitch every I think 6 games or something like that to give us the best chance there. They're building as a brand new training centre. They're putting money in and they're getting things right in the upper echelons of the club, which then filters down. And it's proven to be a real success, and we're reaping the rewards at the moment. We're probably a year ahead of schedule, I'd say, a year or 2. I don't know if you agree on that, but yeah, that's where I think.
Yeah, I think when you look at those rebuilds, I think it usually, you look at kind of that path, and ideally, it taking a few years, and we've seen some of them, maybe some teams go early and take that big leap and then kind of crash, and it's not sustained, whereas the Broncos seem to have done it. So playoffs last year, avenged last week, a loss to Buffalo, so they got beat in the wild card round in Buffalo, didn't they, last year, which is an experience, particularly for Bo Nix and others. How was that kind of the game last week? It was a classic game last week, an unbelievable back and forth. What did you make of kind of the Broncos' performance last week to kind of outlast Josh Allen and the Bills and beat them in overtime?
You know what? They were gashing us pretty much on every play for the first half, and I thought, oh, we're into it here. Bo Nix has got to keep up. That's not his normal game at all. He's very much sort of rely on the defense, but if we need to, I'll do it in the fourth quarter, which he's done all season long. But suddenly the Broncos just made key plays at key moments. So when the Bills are driving, suddenly turnover, Josh Allen turns the ball over with a number of stupid mistakes from an elite quarterback, which I never thought would happen, really. And I think the turning point in the game last week was the 22-second stretch before halftime, where we scored the touchdown, and then suddenly we get the ball back after Josh Allen fumble, and we kick a field goal to boost our lead to 10 at that point. And that really did help us on the way. And I was sat there at the end of sort of regulation time, and when they were kicking, I was like, just miss. Obviously, he didn't miss, and overtime came. But overtime was one for the Bucs, wasn't it?
Yeah, there's that. Was it? Wasn't it? I think obviously, this play. People have had their opinions on it all week, but ultimately, the Broncos closed the game out and got it done, which was massive. The sickener after the game, and I can't believe it was 45 minutes later, Sean Payton's coming back to tell us that Bo Nix has sadly fractured his ankle and he's done, not forever, for the rest of this season. Kind of feel like maybe leave it till Monday or leave it till Tuesday to share that. It's the first.
He shared some about that, actually. He came out and he said, look, it wouldn't have lasted the weekend. It would have got out there. So he came out and he said, I need to tell you all, guys. I had a lot longer without the news. I went to bed happy as anything. I was delighted, I'm living on the high. I went to bed and woke up. I thought someone was joking me. I thought, they said Bo Nix broke his ankle. I was like, no, he's not. He's fine. I just saw him play. But then if you watch the footage back, he's not celebrating at the end of the game. He's jumping off. You're like, oh, yeah, he has. What the annoying thing is, I don't know if you saw it, that play didn't need to happen because earlier on, there was a hold in the end zone on DJ Jones by Connor McGovern, I think, the centre. And, that ends the game. So it didn't need to happen.
Yeah.
But we're not going to complain about refs calls.
No, fair enough. And it's the first playoff win in a decade since, I suppose, man behind you, you've got the jersey, Von Miller jersey behind you. For those not watching on YouTube, Matt's got a lovely signed Von Miller jersey behind him. Since kind of the 2015 Super Bowl win, it's difficult this week, isn't it? Just I suppose it's a completely different game now. I suppose, how confident, before we talk about the game in detail, how confident are you that Sean Payton on a week can get Jared Stidham, who's going to be deputizing for Bo Nix, in a position to be functional? Because I think that's probably where he needs to get him this week.
I think if anyone can do it, it's Sean Payton, isn't it? And he the first player he signed when he came in as a Denver Broncos coach was Jarrett Stidham. And I think he signed him to like a $4.5 million contract a year or something. But he went out and got his backup quarterback sorted early. So you can see what he thinks of him. Apparently he was high on him when he came out the draft at the Saints and wanted him there, but couldn't quite get him. He's come out and he's been quite sort of supportive. He's not going to say that Jarrett Stidham can't win a game, can he? But he's come out and it's blown us away, really. The whole of Broncos country has rallied around Jarrett Stidham in a way I've not seen before. I don't know if you've got a lot of Broncos sort of people on Twitter, but everyone's changed their picture to Jarrett Stidham, NBA sort of, he's in his shades. It's really strange place to be on Broncos country Twitter at the moment, but it's really good seeing him rally around them. You're right, he's got to be functional. I think I'll talk about players coming back in a little bit, but the run game's got to be there to help him. Jarrett Stidham, I said this on another podcast, that he was the best dual threat quarterback coming out of high school in the country. So at that time, not saying of all time, but at that time, and he's got a big arm, he's accurate, he can do it. It just, I said it again. It's sort of, it's a free shot, isn't it? So if we lose, everyone's going to go, they probably should have lost because Jarrett Stidham. If we win, well, Sean Payton's a mastermind. Jarrett Stidham's going to be Super Bowl MVP, and I'm going to walk around in my new Jarrett Stidham jersey all day. So.
Yeah, certainly a big win on Sunday, and certainly the sales are going to go through the roof. It's interesting because I almost think there's a bit of that. I think it'd be his 5th career start on Sunday in the AFC Championship game, which is mad for a quarterback having that. But I think there's almost like that you don't know what you don't know element to it as well. You've not been in those situations before. There's almost nothing to be fearful of because you don't know what it's going to be like. So, as you're right, it's a bit of a free hit. Let's get into the game in a bit more detail then. We've got a bit of a headline for the game and I guess kind of previous history. You're hoping that will continue based on Patriots Broncos games in the playoffs. But Patriots hope to avoid another downfall in Denver. New England are 0-4 in the playoffs at Mile High, but stare down their best opportunity to win yet. Can the Broncos defense step up and give Stiddy a shot? That was the moment last week when Sean Payton was telling us about Bo Nix's injury. When he referenced him as Stiddy, I was like, they've got a shot.
Exactly.
They can win. Yeah.
The Patriots are coming into Stiddy City, aren't they? So it's happening. City. That's what we're calling it. Denver is Stiddy City right now.
Stiddy City, not Mile High. And, I've seen it all this week. Jarrett Stidham, I've seen it all. So I think huge part of this has got to be the defense having, we know that Broncos defense is incredible. I think it's got to go one step further this week. How confident are you, given what you've seen of what the Chargers and the Texans, especially the last couple of weeks, made Drake May at times very uncomfortable and forced mistakes and forced turnovers? How confident are you the Broncos can do the same this week?
I think they've got to follow the same sort of game plan against them. Like you said, they made him look sort of below par, and he was turning over the ball a lot more than he has done in the regular season. But the Broncos pass rush, I can never say pass rush, is a lot better than those two teams. I think they'll get Nick Benito's coming off a 2 forced fumble game. You got Jonathan Cooper on the other side who will crash in on that side. One of my favourite players for the Broncos, Talanoa Hufanga, coming in and stopping the run. And what was lacking all season long was the turnovers. In the last 2 games, we're producing turnovers. I think we had 5 last week in total. And I think they're going to play hard. They don't want to give them lots of yards. PS2 is going to come in and lock down Diggs. I'm sure he'll play up against Diggs for the most of the game, if not all of it, and shut him down, hopefully. And then, Vance Joseph is a defensive mastermind, really. He's up for head coach interviews again. Last time as a head coach, it didn't work out. Obviously, with the Broncos, it wasn't great. But if he can scheme up something to stop Drake May, their running game's okay. I think it's decent, but James Cook last week for the Bills is a lot better rusher than Ramondre Stevenson, and we did okay against James Cook. It wasn't lights out by any means. A lot of big plays, but I think they'll crash in on the run and shut that down and make Drake May one-dimensional, which plays into our hands really as a pass rush team.
Excellent. I think that's probably sort of like that key matchup about being able to keep them in, especially second, third, and long, and be able to force them into that kind of drop back passing game. And I feel that's where the Broncos can thrive. Kind of feel like they've got to come up with a score or, multiple turnovers, or the defense has got to find a way to score, whether it's a pick six or, relying on special teams or whatever it is. But I feel if they need to find a way to score that isn't the offense. The other side of things, run game you mentioned earlier, they're going to have to run the ball very effectively this week, and the Patriots can kind of afford to sell out to stop the run a little bit. There's talk that maybe J.K. Dobbins might be back.
Yeah, we're hearing good things. He was back at practice yesterday. Obviously, they opened the window for him to return. He was back at practice yesterday on a limited basis, but people were saying, all the reporters are saying he's running well, he's moving well. I think there's a good chance he plays. I'm hoping he plays because RJ Harvey, whilst he's going to be a good running back, this year between the tackles, he's not been great. His vision didn't seem that good, but as a receiving back, out of that, he's been lights out. So if we can keep him to that role, and J.K. Dobbins as the sort of between this tackles and those pure running plays, I'll be a lot happier. And Jarrett Stidham will be a lot happier as well because he can just sort of hand the ball off and ease his way to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think the key is that kind of almost have Stidham manage the game, A little bit similar to what, at a different level of obviously quarterback play, a little bit what the Seahawks are doing with Sam Darnold is they're not making Sam Darnold win them these big games. They are letting the running game and the defense do its job. I suppose we've touched on it, a little bit, but where are the kind of the 2 or 3 key matchups for you, Matt, this week that are going to deliver another Super Bowl berth for the Denver Broncos?
I think keeping Jarrett Stidham upright would be up there. The Broncos O-line has played one of the best seasons that an O-line has played for a while. We've kept all 5 from last season together, and it sort of gelled nicely. Unfortunately, we had Luke Wattenberg, our starting centre, out for the last 4 weeks, but he's designated to return. He came back to practice as well. So it looks like we're going to get the same 5 back for the first time for a while. But yeah, if they can keep the pass rush away from Jarrett Stidham. One thing Bo Nix is really good at is avoiding sacks. Whether we see that from Jarrett Stidham is another question. You just want to give him enough time to survey the field, but hopefully pick his number 1 read and delivering the ball on time. That's probably my number 1 sort of matchup. I said it before, Pat Surtain against Stephon Diggs is my number 2. He's going to need to shut him down. But he's their talisman, isn't he, at the moment? He's sort of taking the team on the shoulders and taking it by storm, really. He's had a really good season, hasn't he, out there? I'm hoping not many number 1 wide receivers have done well in Denver this season. We've shut down Jamar Chase, we've shut down AJ Brown. All of that high quality wide receiver we've shut down pretty much, and it's usually that sort of number 2, number 3, or the tight end that has absolutely dominated us every time. But yeah, I think that's a really good matchup. I actually think a weird one is how our special teams play. If we can flip field and then put them back, and Jeremy Crawshaw, the rookie punter this year, has been outstanding. He probably produced his best punt of the year last week against the Bills, where he pinned them in the within 5 yards and gave us the chance at forcing what should have been a safety and to win the game in overtime. But I think that's a good one. I don't know. Have you got any sort of key matchups you're thinking of?
Interesting one in terms of I think the Broncos got a real good opportunity to attack Will Campbell on that line. So he was the Patriots' first-round pick, the 4th overall pick. Great in the run game. He's been found wanting a little bit the last few weeks in the pass game, and I think the Broncos can kind of target him a little bit and bring pressure to that side. And I think that's where they might struggle. I think he's going to turn out to be a great tackle moving forward. His first year, it's tough in Denver. Against that, and I suppose that's the other question mark for me. How big a factor is it that this game is at home this week? That it's in Denver, with how difficult it is to play at Mile High for opposition.
I'll tell you what, if it was in Foxborough, I'd be panicking a little bit more than I am. I'm quietly confident in what we can do there. The Mile High, Steady City, as we need
Steady City,
for now anyway. It was loud last week. I expect it to be louder. But one thing the Broncos have done is they've not sold any tickets outside of the Rocky Mountain area. They won't sell them on Ticketmaster. They've shut the locations down. So if you don't have a postcode in that area or a billing address, you ain't buying a ticket, basically. So hopefully it's just going to be orange. Sea of orange there. All your drinks were shaking. It was that loud. All the locker doors in the under the stadium were shaking. So I think we saw it actually, didn't we? Josh Allen had to change his helmet in the first couple of plays last week, just because of how loud it was, and I think he couldn't hear at all. So Drake May coming in for his first sort of AFC Championship game. Will it get to him? Hopefully, and hopefully the crowd will force an early timeout, delay of game. Just rattle him a little bit more and just be sort of that extra play that could earn the Broncos an extra 5-10 yards every now and then. It could happen. It's going to be a big advantage.
Absolutely. And then just on the flip side, so we talked about kind of some of the matches, but I suppose from a Patriots perspective, again, they've had an incredible turnaround. They've gone through. I also feel like we just don't need to see the Patriots in these games this soon. Like, they've not had enough time away. Like, we don't need to see the Patriots in AFC Championships and Super Bowls yet. Maybe in a few more years. But incredible job, Vrabel, that he's done. Drake May's had an incredible year. But what worries you about the Patriots in terms of where they can really, really hurt the Broncos?
I think Drake May. Oh my God, Drake May is just—he's going to be one of the best quarterbacks of his generation. I think he's looking like he's going to be quality. His accuracy and if he gets time on the ball, he's going to make plays, isn't he? I think the running game for them, like I said, it doesn't scare me too much, but we've not been great against the run on a consistent basis this year. It could quite easily open up and Ramondre Stevenson could go for, 100 plus yards in the game, or we could really clamp down, sell out on the run and force Drake May to play. They're just a well-rounded team. I don't think there's one thing that sort of stands out to me. They're just a well-rounded team. Maybe Vrabel. Maybe Vrabel's the one we need to look at and be scared of. But that's going to be one hell of a battle, Vrabel versus Peyton. That's a battle of the minds there.
I think we had, again, just not to pull that, we had a couple of weeks ago, we had Jeff Reinbold on the show, and he was saying one of the Patriots, the Patriots linebackers was out from Hawaii, and he was going back and he was sort of saying what had changed because he'd been there pre-Vrabel and the early months of Vrabel. And he just sort of said what he instilled is kind of that toughness and discipline. Like, they don't beat themselves. I think you see that from Mike Vrabel teams. We saw it with the Titans as well for so long. Like, they don't make those kind of just implosion mistakes and, turnovers and giveaways and just those dumb plays. They just don't do it. And kind of you really have to work for everything against them. And that kind of feels like how it's going to be again this week.
I think whoever wins this game gets Coach of the Year or has a really good shot at it.
It's a good shout, I think, because I think, again, there's lots of great contenders. This feels like a year more than anywhere. There's so many great contenders. Certainly think Vrabel's there. Peyton should be again given the
cap hit and sort of that side of things. I don't know. He's done okay. I'll always back the Peyton, but Vrabel's up there with he's probably the favourite for it at the moment. So if he wins this, surely he's got it. But,
I mean, there's Liam Cohen, there's Ben Johnson, there's like loads of great contenders this time. Yeah, there's not like I don't feel like a massive front runner. Give us a score prediction now. It's tough, like it's a different game than it would have been maybe obviously with Bonix playing. But give us a score prediction for Sunday.
I'm going to back our boys. I'm going to back Stiddy, my man Stiddy. I said on another podcast, I'm going 28-17. He's going to ball out. He's going to get 400 odd yards.
Hey, I think we'd love to see that. Absolutely.
Everyone's going to be supporting. Everyone loves an underdog, don't they?
They do, and certainly in this situation, we've just seen we had the lineup. The Broncos are 4.5-point underdogs. Relatively, I suppose, relatively big in a championship game. But I think certainly I just don't need to sit for another New England Patriots Super Bowl yet. So kind of pulling for the Broncos and hope they get the job done. But we're hoping for obviously a fantastic game. Mark, just before we obviously let you go, and thanks again for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. We're hopefully a good luck charm for you coming on, tied in with a win. Give us one final shout out. Where can we follow Broncos Europe and where can we follow Mark on Broncos?
Yeah, so Broncos Europe, we're on Twitter, Facebook. If you just search Broncos EUR, you'll find us on there. Click to join the community. We have a WhatsApp group, which you can find on our Twitter and Facebook group as well. So come along, join us if you're a Broncos fan. We've got a great group of people there, fans joining us week in, week out. And then if you want to follow my ramblings on Twitter, I don't post as much as I should on it. I try. I get mixed up between my accounts, so I end up posting them both really. But you can find me on Mark on Broncos, and like I said before, you'll get a lot of Broncos themed content just throughout the week.
Excellent, Mark. Appreciate it. Good luck on Sunday. Hopefully it's a Broncos win and another Super Bowl appearance. And pulling for a great game. So make sure you go follow Mark, everyone, Broncos Europe and Mark on Broncos. We've got an NFC Championship game to preview. So me, Byron, and Joe are going to do that now and share our best bets for both games. So stick around. Thanks to Mark there. Make sure you go follow Mark on Broncos and Broncos Europe for all your Denver Bronco needs and content. It was great to chat with him, and we will be welcoming the show in the future. Byron, Joe, you're opportunity to have your say on the AFC Championship game before we head to our bets. Byron, do you want to share your thoughts on the matchup first, or just Charlie?
Yeah, Charlie really does. He's having a wild one today. Like most days he isn't. Let's be fair. I love this matchup. I think it's so interesting. I don't know how much Bo Nix's absence really matters. Which might look very silly come Monday, I will admit, if Jarrett Stidham is awful. But I don't think he's going to be. I think he's going to be kind of competent and very game managery. We've talked in the past of Sean Payton won't take the training wheels off Bo Nix. He ain't taking them off Jarrett Stidham. And I think what's really important to this matchup is how does Drake May handle not the pressure of the moment? I have no problem with that. How does he deal with the pressure of that defensive front? Because I know normally it's only prepared soup that you put in a blender, but I think this week it's going to be Campbell's getting put in a blender because Will Campbell, he had a nightmare last week, and I think them little arms are going to struggle if Nick Benito starts getting one-on-one with him. So if the Broncos pass rush gets cooking and those interior tackles get cooking, I think this could be a real tough one for Drake May and for the Patriots to get any points, really, and any momentum on offense. And I think the J.K. Dobbins return, I think, is really big for the Broncos. It just gives them that two-headed monster again. We'll see on my bets coming up soon, but I think RJ Harvey, we might see him more used as a receiver out of the backfield. We might even have them both in at the same time. Sean Payton is very creative on offense. I think that's something we might see, those double running back looks, maybe two running backs, two tight ends, and one wide receiver on the field. You know, maybe pop shots from Jared Stidham downfield if he gets those one-on-one matchups with Marvin Mims or Troy Franklin. But yeah, I just have a sneaky feeling the lines come down from 5.5 to 4.5. I think the Broncos might take it and they might win outright, truthfully. I just think this defense of the Broncos, it's not being as hot as it has been all season, but I think they might, in this big matchup at home, tough environment, I just fancy the Broncos just slightly edge it.
Yeah, I bet poor Will Campbell thought 21 weeks into the season, the T-Rex arms comments would have stopped. But here we are in the AFC Championship, and they're alive and well. Joe, what do you think of this matchup?
Yeah, it's certainly different with Stidham being in. Obviously, he was the Patriot for 2 years, so obviously he knows his team well. But and I think he showed a little bit during the preseason, and he hasn't played for the last 2 years, but he was still capable. Then it's just tricky. I think the Broncos are going to have to lean so heavily on this defense, and they need to just keep it close. I can't imagine Stidham going absolutely crazy and this being like a 33-30 like it was last week against the Bills. They want to keep it to mid-teens, maybe high teens at the most, and lean on that running game. I think what's been the biggest surprise in this playoffs, I would say, is the Patriots defense. Obviously, during the season, they were like they were like mid-20s in terms of DVOA and red zone defense, and in a few other categories. But they've just been lights out the last two games. Obviously, all the turnovers certainly help against both teams. But I think they've just they put so much pressure on the two quarterbacks. So I'm curious how they're going to do that, because playing against Stidham, are you going to want to pressure him and give him a chance to have one-on-ones with like the Mims and the Franklins? Or are you going to say, okay, let's just rush 4, maybe rush 5, and let's just try and confuse him with more DBs in the back where he can throw his interception. So it's curious how the Patriots will play that, because they've just been pressuring and both quarterbacks in the first two games. On the flip side, this Broncos defense is up there, but they are susceptible to being run on and game front. I know Josh Allen is maybe not anymore, like a step up against than Drake May. But if Josh Allen can do it, why can't Drake May also be able to pass on them? And James Cook was able to run for over 100 yards last year. I know Henderson and Stevenson are maybe not as good as James Cook, but the last few weeks have been running well, especially Stevenson, and we've seen Henderson pop off for some big runs, especially how they just killed that game against the Texans, where they just ran all over them against the Texans defense. So I think that is really, it leans everything to the Patriots, but I can see this just being a weird one in Denver, and it's just, as all these games have been, who's going to do the least amount of mistakes? Drake May has been fumbling nonstop the last 2 weeks. Can he stop that with like Byron said, with Will Campbell not having his best games? But can they get all the turnovers, which they also the defense has also got, because Stidham might throw 1 or 2. So yeah, I think it's gonna be a close one. I don't think it's like if it was like a lot of the high quarterbacks, if they have to go down to their backup, just because of how good the defense is, and they can't Stidham. Well, obviously, I don't know the fun fact, because there was a whole thing about Juwan Jennings being the 5th ranked dual quarterback in 2015. Stidham was number 1 over Kyler Murray, Sam Darnold, Joe Burrow, and Lamar Jackson. So if you can produce what they can do just for one game, I'm sure the Broncos fans will be happy.
Absolutely, great bit of X's and O's analysis from Joe in there in his spiel there. Excellent stuff, Joe. I said this the other day when I was rambling to myself. I still don't know who the Patriots are or what they are, and it's not their fault as to why that's the case. It's just who they've been coming up against. So you take that part about the defense. Our defense has been playing better. Well, they just feasted on two absolutely dog shit offensive lines in the Chargers and the Texans. And as CJ Stroud did play terribly, Justin Herbert had a terrible game, but that was primarily down to the offensive line that just could not protect. I feel anybody would have done that to those Chargers and Texans O-line. So is that front really good? Is that front? I don't know. It might be. I just don't know. It's going to be tested a lot more this week because that Broncos offensive line is extremely good. So are you going to get the shots, or are you even going to try it? Like you mentioned, Joe, are you just going to sit in coverages and, drop 7 and just, can try and make Stidham throw it into zones and read zones. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm still not convinced on the Patriots, and that's making me thinking. I think we'll get to they could win this game. We get to the Super Bowl and still have no idea who the New England Patriots are.
It's funny. We talked last week on our preview. Joe was absent, obviously, and we said Mitch Trubisky is going to be in against the Patriots in the AFC Championship game. I mean, very much right view. Jarrett Stidham, Mitch Trubisky, a backup quarterback, regardless. The Patriots are not beating the schedule merchant allegations. Ultimately, just on the front for the Patriots, I found this stat from Next Gen Stats on the NFL. The top 4 defensive tackle duos in terms of pressures are all the 4 remaining teams. So Zach Allen and John Franklin Myers top with 98 pressures at D tackle. In 4th place is Christian Barmore, Milton Williams at 87. So I don't know about the edges so much, but those DTs inside, I mean, you consider Milton Williams missed 6 weeks, I believe, 10 the season, and came back firing against the Chargers, certainly. So, yeah, those 2 certainly, but, yeah, the rest of them, I'm not as sure. I will agree.
I mean, on the flip side as well, so there's... Go on. Sorry, Ryan, after you.
I have a little trivia if we're interested in moving that direction. So there's been a lot of comparison with Jarrett Stidham and Jeff Hostetler. He won a Super Bowl 6 years after he was drafted, winning his 5th, 6th, and start in the NFL playoffs. Jarrett Stidham has currently started 4 NFL games. His 5th and 6th ones would be the AFC Championship game and the Super Bowl. So what I wanted you guys to tell me is, on his 5th NFL start, the New York Giants beat the Chicago Bears 31-33 on January 13, 1991. And unfortunately, it's not a music number 1 because the music number 1s are terrible unless you want to do Australia. What was the US movie of the week?
January 1991.
I might give you a little nudge in the right direction.
Is it Robin Hood?
It is not.
That was later on in 91, I think. That was mid-91. It's not Home Alone?
My man! Yes. Joe is back from his UK trip and he's back on effing form. Woof.
There you
Home
go.
Alone was the US number 1. It was in the UK the week before. Arachnophobia took it in the UK. And the Australian number 1 was Ice Ice Baby.
That's a banger.
3 bangers there in all different ways. But yeah, Home Alone. I was going to say, I think Christmas 90 rather than start of 91. But Joe does not need a hint. And yeah, let's hope the Broncos won't be feeling lonely at home on Sunday.
I had just one thing just to try and offer some balance to the schedule merchant thing of Drake May, of the New England Patriots, sorry, as well, because I've been, quite the proponent of that. So let's offer some balance in the, name of good journalism / media / whatever we do. Drake May's going to go up against his, obviously, in the AFC Championship game. He's now in 3 playoff games, going to have gone up against 3 of the top 5 defenses in terms of total defense or yards given up. Chargers, Texans, Broncos. No had to do that before in NFL playoff history, and he's the first to have to go up against that. So maybe the playoffs is a sterner test than we're letting on.
Yeah, we'll see how he gets on.
Yeah. So just offer a bit of balance. Yeah, offer some balance. Cool. Right, let's go to our. I've got a load of stats for this, but I feel I've covered them all either with Mark or we've touched on them. Patriots 0-4 in Denver in the playoffs. All 4 of those meetings have hit the under. But in the regular season, Patriots have won and covered on their last 3 visits to the Broncos. It's interesting. Patriots are 8-0 straight up, 8-0 straight up, and 7-1 ATS on the road this season. They've won every road game. But Broncos have won 14 of their last 15 home games. The only game they didn't win was when the Jacksonville Jaguars went in to the regular season and beat them. Let's head to our bets. A lot of money's coming on the Broncos. It was heavily Patriots. It was a 75% plus on bets and money to the Patriots up until only a couple of hours ago. And it's split, it's not split all the way back. But I'm going to take the Broncos plus 4.5. A lot of money, late money's coming in. 36% of the money now on 26% of the bets on the Broncos. I think they cover. I think the Patriots are going to win, but I think the Broncos are going to cover. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be low scoring. I think the defense is going to give them a shot. Ultimately, I think the Patriots are going to prevail. Just nothing more than that, really. I think tight game, crowd help, the home game helps. Defense has a beast, a huge game, and the Broncos can keep it tight. Byron, what have you got?
Yeah, I've gone, Cam touched on it earlier, I think it'll be a lot of dump-offs. RJ Harvey, 40 plus receiving yards at 7-2. In his most recent game as a starter, which I know we are going back a little bit here, Jarrett Stidham targeted Javonte Williams 9 times. So I think that the role is there. He targeted Josh Jacobs when he was in Raiders more than Josh Jacobs usually gets targeted as well. Harvey went for 46 receiving yards last week. 3 weeks ago against Jacksonville, he went for 71 receiving yards. I think he's a really good weapon out of the backfield. So, 7-2, 40 plus receiving yards. This is what I might ladder, truthfully, and go maybe 30, 40, 50. But 40 is my main player of the week.
Excellent. Joe?
I've already said the fun fact. Jarrett Stidham, anytime touchdown, 17-4. I think, obviously, Sean Payton's going to have to make it simple for him, but with his legs, I think he's also going to have to use that as well. We see quite a lot of backups where, they may not be able to go the second, third, fourth read, so he's just going to have to escape. And as Byron said, the middle of that, the Patriots line is the scary part. So he could get one of them where he just runs around the side and just jogs in for a nice touchdown. So 17-4, so just over 4-1. Jarrett Stidham, anytime touchdown.
Excellent. Steady City. Right. Let's go to the NFC Championship game. Second of the game, it's the Rams, 2.5-point underdogs at the Seattle Seahawks. The over-under is 47. Will the sequel to the sequel live up to the hype? We've had 2 fascinating regular season games, but this one is for all the marbles. Who comes out on top and heads to Super Bowl 60? So, we saw an interesting mid-season game between these two where kind of the Rams got out big. Seahawks almost came back and won it. It was like one of those Darnold seeing ghost games, but sort of brought it close at the end. We saw that crazy Thursday night football game where, again, the Rams were miles clear and the Seahawks came all the way back, and the crazy 2-point conversion play and Rashid Shaheed punt return, and the Seahawks going for it on 2 in overtime to win it. It had everything. So we've got the third one. Hopefully this is not like The Godfather Part 3, for example, or, can't think of a third. Jurassic Part 3, which sucks. It's more like, I don't know, can't think of good third films. But you get the point.
Not Home Alone 3 either.
Yeah, not Home Alone 3.
Think of another bad one.
Yeah, there's loads of bad ones. Not many good ones. I'm sure one will spring to me. But it's all NFC West. So let's start with you, Joe, as you're our expert in that division. Rams, Seahawks in Seattle. How's this one going to go? What are the key matchups? What are we expecting to see? Answer all those questions in the next 30 seconds.
Okay, straight away, yeah. This is like a weird one in terms of, if you'd asked me this for like 3 or 4 weeks, I would have still learned, the Rams are the favourite and the Rams should be win this game. You talked about the first 2 games. That second game, there was like about 7 or 8 things which had to happen for the Seahawks to come back and win that game. And it felt like the Rams lost it. But the last few weeks, the Rams have just not seemed like fully at it. Like the script, the loss to the Falcons, they didn't look great against the Cardinals. Obviously, only just beating the Panthers and the Bears. In the playoffs, where you just coming into this playoffs, it felt like they were the powerhouse. That especially on offense, like when they wanted to score, they would just score. There's no stopping them. And I think that the Devontae Adams injury and him coming back, he just doesn't look right. That matchup, they feel like they're forcing him to, and even, Sean McVay even admitted they forced it to Devontae Adams quite a lot. And even against the Bears, it felt like he just wasn't quite there. And it feels like what makes them great with the three tight ends and that kind of play, like with the running game and the passing game off that it's just not quite working, and they're just going away from it and maybe trying to be a bit too clever. And the defense as well. I thought the defense has played well last week, but it seemed like the ones where it's like they're scary, like you don't want to face the Rams, or you can pass all over them and you can do things against them. It feels like there's such an up and down versus the Seahawks, where the last few weeks they've just been, perfection on defense. They played the 49ers twice and they only scored 9 points. They haven't conceded a touchdown, and it never felt like they were going to score that. And it feels like they're scaring teams, especially on offense, that defense, where they make them change what they're good at. And the Seahawks, I'm leaning the Seahawks here, that it's that defense is going to come up trumps, because Matthew Stafford has been throwing some, interception balls, and the team just does look great. And Darnold just needs to do what he's been doing, where no mistakes. Obviously, they haven't got the two-headed monster. I think that's big as well. Obviously, Zach Charbonnet being out for the rest of the year, you'd have liked both running backs. So him and Walker, you can change the pace up. And I think Walker's a good running back, but I wouldn't say he's an elite running back. I feel like he leaves a lot of yards on the field. But yeah, and Sean McVay against, maybe in regular season is great, but against when he's playing against defensive, like top quality coaches, he has struggled in the playoffs. There's been a few times, you think about that Super Bowl against the Patriots, where I know it was Jared Goff, but they just shut it down completely. I don't think they've got the defense as they had the last few years. And so I'm in the Seahawks, basically. I think they've got the momentum being at home. I think everything's on their side. It'll just have to take an incredible performance from Stafford and I think Puka to change that.
Excellent. I just realised I'm pointing out in the chat by Byron as we are recording. I've managed to spell sequel wrong twice. Third
time's the charm, as I say.
There we go. Yeah, hopefully the third one's better. Much like that was the key to the headline. You see, that's just I'm playing 4D.
We're very meta here.
Yeah. Byron, we know you love the Seattle Seahawks. Do you think they get the job done and get back to the Super Bowl?
I don't want to be that guy. Can I just repeat basically everything Joe just said? If you'd asked me 4 weeks ago, I'd have said the Rams, no problem. Because I love this Rams team as well. And these were one of my picks of the season. I had Stafford MVP at long odds. And they've just cooled down at the wrong time, I think. Outside of Puka Nacua being Puka Nacua, the offense just doesn't seem to be quite ticking. And I think I said it before the Bears game, and I'm going to say it again now. They need to stick with that 13 personnel and get Devontae Adams less involved. I know he made that incredible catch to kind of seal the game on Sunday, but by and large, he doesn't look himself. And the Seahawks have struggled against 13 personnel against the Rams, especially this season. Terrence Ferguson back fit gives us a 4 rotation at tight end so they can keep everybody fresh and fit. Seahawks defense, I read this stat from Doug Clawson, who's a researcher at CBS this week. The Seattle Seahawks are not allowed a play to go more than 30 yards in over a month. They are the only team since 2000 to not allow a play of more than 20 yards in 3 straight games, including the playoffs. This defense is cooking right now. And I do worry I know Stafford's injury we don't quite know, but he didn't play well against the Bears by and large. If one of those guys up front, Byron Murphy, Lenny Williams, take your pick, can get through, because the Rams O-line isn't a beast. They function well in the system, but I think they can be got at. I think it's going to be real loud, real scary on Sunday. You ain't going to be making audibles at the line unless the hand signals. I think the Seattle Seahawks might just cook them. I think this defense is really coming. It's been good all season, but they're coming alive just as it matters. And if this Rams offense isn't firing at 100%, I think the Seahawks take it, yeah.
Yeah. I've picked the Rams ATS. They covered as 1.5 point underdogs when they got beat.
Yeah.
In that overtime game because they got beat by
37-38, yeah.
I think it could be close. I think it's going to be real, real close, which I appreciate is a bit of a cop-out take. I think there is a come down for the Seahawks. Last week especially, and they had the week off. I said it, Baron, you sat and listened to the horrible solo show. That is the single most impressive all-round team performance I've seen in the NFL this season. I think there's a letdown off the back of it.
I think, just to kind of agree with you a little there, I don't know if you're going to get to this. I know you mentioned it on Monday. The loss of Zach Charbonnet could be really big.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to talk. I think it's a couple of injuries, and Cross as well as possibly injured, possibly out. I think he's not practiced Wednesday. We're recording Thursday, so potential for time, but that could be huge as well. And I think what part of the reason, obviously Walker carried the load last week and had a great game, but why the running game's been so effective is the 1-2, the two different kind of styles you get from Walker and Charbonnet, and it works really, really well. I think the Rams are potentially going to do a better job of stopping the run. They kind of stopped the Bears running last week. Obviously, the Bears' big strength has been running through the middle, and part of the reason why they struggle is because they changed a lot. They moved Tooney out to the left. I don't know what the left and right is, but they moved Tooney out to try and solve that problem. They actually ended up creating a bigger problem, but they stopped the Bears running through the middle. I think they can slow down Seattle running. I think they're going to make Darnold win this game, or I think they're going to put it on Darnold to win the game. And it's the bright lights, and we've not had to see him do it. And I think that's the thing. Seattle have won these big games, but Sam Darnold hasn't had to win these games. And again, it might be a bit unfair, but if it's all on him, and the Rams can get to him, the Rams can get pressure, which I think they will, are we going to see him crumble and collapse again? I think the Rams are going to do a better job at stopping the run and put it on Darnold. I hope I'm wrong, because I want to kind of I would like to see him overcome it and kind of have a big game in those circumstances and just prove everybody the doubt is wrong. For me, they're still there and the noise is still there. And if it's on him, give me the Rams, give me McVay, give me that defense, give me Matt Stafford. I'd take them in that situation all day. I think they're going to have a better performance offensively as well. Bad combination of things last week, I think, in the Bears. Just playing the horrible weather, I think, just for your LA team. And I know Stafford's got the experience in it, but, when you've got Devontae Adams off the back of that hamstring injury, you don't need the freezing cold. It's going to be pleasant in Seattle this week. I think we might see an explosion.
I was going to ask that if it was going to, because obviously it's the rainy part of one of the rainiest parts of the US. So I was curious if it would be that kind. But I agree with Dana, because I know I've seen people say, well, he did that 16-point deficit against the Rams last time, but that was, it was Shaheed really, which kickstarted that, and you can't rely on special teams all the time. And, I just think about that 2-point conversion that you went through it all, but that, where they threw it, everyone stopped, and then Charbonnet just picked it up. If that didn't happen, then they probably would have lost the game. So there's them kind of little things where, so I think it's huge in this defense to if Garner has a shaky start, to not be down 10 points. I think that's where I just worry for the Seahawks. If they're down 10, 14 points, I don't trust Darnold. And I don't, it could happen. He could come back. He could prove us all wrong. Obviously, the NFL is like that. And, he could do something magical like he has do, but you can't rely on that. You can't rely on that 100% of the time, especially in big games like this.
Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty pleasant. 6 degrees and just cloudy, no rain, not particularly cold. 6 degrees centigrade, sorry. So, yeah, fairly mild January day, isn't it, really? So, yeah, cool. I've got a couple of bits before. Have you got any other stats or anything you want to add before? No. This is the third playoff meeting between these two. Again, I'm always astonished. Rams and Seattle, well, this is only their third playoff meeting. Previous two were also in Seattle. Previous two, the Rams were also underdogs. The Rams won them outright, 2-0. 80, obviously straight up and as a result, ATS. Rams pretty good in Seattle, 8-2 ATS in the last 10 meetings. And again, with the line so small, obviously it didn't matter last time because they covered and lost, but 8-2 ATS in the last 10 in Seattle. Rams games on the road, 8-3 over so far this season. Seahawks 6-3 over in home games. Seahawks have won 6 home games in a row. Let's have a look at the bets so we can get my spelling mistakes off the screen. I'm going to go the over 47. I think it might be a bit of a middle ground between the first and second games. I'm expecting more from the Rams offensively. Obviously, the Seahawks had an offensive explosion last week, but I think 47, this will be late 20s sort of game. Close one, but late 20s each, I think. I think the Rams can do more to the Seahawks defense problems-wise than obviously the Niners did last week, so I'm expecting them to score a decent amount. Byron, what have you got?
My man, Rashid Shaheed, 20-plus rushing yards. So last week he had 27 on 2 attempts against the Rams. Earlier in the season, he had 1 attempt for 31 yards. And as we've mentioned, no Zach Charbonnet. I think there's going to be some taking the load off Kenneth Walker a little at the very least. And Rashid Shaheed could hit this on one play. I mean, that's not a crazy take. Since he joined the Seahawks in week 10, he's had 9 carries for 91 yards, 10 yards an attempt, 9 yards a game. Not getting an attempt in every single one, but like they're always explosive when he gets them, essentially. He either stops at the line of scrimmage because he's tackled immediately or he goes 10-plus yards. I just think they're going to have to get creative, and I think Clint Kubiak has it in his bag to get creative. So 7-2 on Rashid Shaheed, getting essentially 2 carries, but 20-plus rush yards is the actual bet. I just think it's a nice value.
Yeah, you're right. They're going to have to maybe scheme something else in the running game. So, yeah, I like that. I think it's a really good bet, Byron. Joe?
No, it's been tight end man all year. So why not do it for the NFC Championship? I've got AJ Barn and Tyler Higbee both to get a touchdown anytime, and it's 19-1. AJ Barn is a lot shorter than Tyler Higbee. I was surprised how the odds for Tyler Higbee, but when you combine them, it's 19-1. You okay?
But yeah, no, it's fine. You said there's a lot shorter than Tyler Higbee. Go on.
AJ Barner, the 5'3" tight end.
Cool. No more analysis on it. Right. I was expecting more. Sorry. Right. Let's go into well, before actually, just to shout out on the bets again. Not our finest week last week, but we still had some big winners. Or Byron did, certainly. 25-1 on McCall Hardman, anytime touchdown scorer in off the street. But we did still had 5 winning bets last week, and I can't remember that. I think that's 288. Oh no, we had 6 because you had Josh Allen at 10-1 as well, didn't you? As passing leader.
You didn't mention it on the show. That's fine. We talk about bad beats here. I had Kenneth Walker to lead the league rushing. He got taken out with 9.5 minutes remaining, 1 yard shy of James Cook, and that would have won the week. I was unimpressed. Just give him 2 more carries.
He talked about some more badly. Jake Tonjes, was he 60 yards?
I mentioned that
59 yards.
Yeah, gets injured. Bullshit.
Yeah, I mentioned that.
As soon as it happened, I was like, oh, well, Joe's already cashed. That's okay. And I looked, I was like, 59. I thought it was on like 75. Yeah, that was...
and then Charbonnet as well, who got injured. So just picking all the injured players in that game.
All right. So that was 6
in the substation.
6 winning bets last week. So that takes us to 289 winning bets on the season. So we need 11 more winners to get to 300. And Joe, what do you make? Sorry, while we're talking, because you mentioned the substation and the guy, John Lynch saying they're actually going to have a look into it, which is great.
I think that's
Brandon Ayuk's hiding in there. That's what I've heard.
Possibly. Yeah, it is what it is. I don't think it's anything. I think he's just saying it just to save face, to like just all that kind of stuff. So we'll see. You never know. It's a crazy world. There's a lot of weird stuff happening. A lot of weird stuff happening in this world right now. So who knows?
Excellent. You sound like there's a college basketball coach that had that. Who's under pressure, severe pressure, and said basically the same thing to defend his record. There's worse things going on in the world right now than us being 1-6 in the conference. And everyone's like, no, there isn't. Your Georgetown.
Not in your world, there isn't, mate. Yeah.
Record. It was a very funny press conference. You go check it out. College basketball talk.
Too much.
Twofold draft. Different again this week because we're down to 2 games. So we're going to do, you've got to pick a side or a total from one of the 2 games. So I guess there's 8 possibilities, and we'll pick 3 of them. And then we're going to pick a prop. So so this can be over under passing yards, over under receiving yards, over under receptions.
10 to 11.
Yards. Yeah, just a straight 10 to 11. So we still get to that 5-2 prop position. I'm up first. Joe's cruising again in this. Oh, no, he's not. Sorry, he's 3-3. Sorry, Byron.
It's cruising relative to his ATS.
Yeah, also cruising relative to me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm one after. I guess I'm out, right? I can't. Oh, No, yeah, I can get back to 3 and 5. And
Importantly, though, there's worse things happening in the world than your record in full draft.
There is. So I'm gonna go with. Give me under Patriots Broncos under 42.5. I think that's the line, yeah. 42.5, isn't it? Yeah, I just think we've talked about it in the preview. I think the Broncos defense is going to show up. It has to have its best game of the season if they've got a chance to win. I think Drake May's pressure on him, turnover happy at the minute. So, yeah, I think the Broncos can keep it tight, stop that running game, stop the big hits. Like, I don't think Henderson's going to have the home run shots that he's had. And yeah, I think the Broncos can keep it tight, so I'm going to keep it close. Joe, so you don't have to go with your side of total first. Feel free to go with your prop first.
Yeah, if I'm going to go prop first, just worried about Byron stealing it. It's his boy, and it's a very low one. I'm going Marvin Mims over 1.5 rushing yards. I feel like they're going to have to do things a bit more clever, and I feel like getting Marvin Mims going in the rushing yards. So last 3 games he had 0, but the 2 before that he had 3 and 8. So 2 out of 5 weeks of hit. So why not go? So over 1.5 rushing yards.
Marvin Mims end around. Is that what we're going
Basically,
for?
Yeah.
Jesus.
First play of the game.
You've been reading my fan fiction?
Yeah.
Oh, you said end around. I thought you said reach around.
Hey, family show.
Both for the dads.
All right, cool. I have back-to-backs. Just give me the Seahawks minus 2.5, please, as my side total. I don't really love any of them this week, truthfully, so that's a tough one. And I was a little worried you were going to take a player. I don't know if I've quite hyped him enough to be my boy. He's not in the Mims Rashid Shaheed yet. But I'm going to go with, let me just check I've got the line right, over under receiving yards. Yep. Terrence Ferguson, over 14.5. Went for 33 when he played the Seahawks earlier in the season. I do think the Seahawks, if you're going to get at them defensively, it is in 13 personnel where I think Ferguson will play plenty of snaps. And realistically, that's one catch. He's a very vertical threat. So certainly, again, 2 catches, I think will certainly get him there. A bit like the Rashid Shaheed played. I don't think it's a high volume play, but it's one that only takes a play or 2 to hit and gives me a chance to be engaged the entire time, because I was looking at prior games and do you remember the last game? Do you know how many yards Puka Nacua got last time these 2 teams played?
Was this 200? Did you get 200 plus? Was it now?
225. Like, I know it was ridiculous at the time, but he went 16 of 12 for 225 and 2 touchdowns.
So it was one of the games that Devontae Adams missed, wasn't it? I think with his hamstring injury. I think Devontae didn't play.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Yeah. So yeah, just to reiterate, it's Terrence Ferguson over 14.5 receiving yards as my play. Good luck finding a quick picture of Terrence Ferguson, Joe. But yeah, last time there was no Devontae Adams. Xavier Smith was the Rams' second lead receiver that game, 57 yards. Konata Mumfield, third receiver at 40 yards, who I've kind of liked as a sneaky play. I think it could be a interesting late round fantasy play last week. I'm just killing time while Joe's doing his hard work in the background here. Konata Mumfield, he hasn't had much run in the playoffs. I did my 10 to 1 to score against Panthers in the first round of the playoffs, but sadly didn't come to light. But I think he's an interesting play. He seems to have really good hands, so I think he's someone we keep an eye on. And yeah, we also had Davis Allen went 34, Terrence Ferguson went 33 that game. And yeah, I just think it's going to be tight end heavy from the Rams if they're going to have any success in this game.
Excellent.
So you have a side up.
I think you bought Joe a bit of time there, Byron.
Doing my best.
Yeah, I don't really like similar Byron. I don't like any of these. So let's go for points. It's not gonna be rainy in Seattle, but it's gonna be raining points. So Rams at Seahawks over 47.
Oh, brilliant. I'm gonna go for my prop, not over 14.5 receiving pass. Give me Puka Nacua over 7.5 receptions. as you mentioned. They had 12 on 16 targets in that crazy game where he went for 225 and 2 touchdowns. Had 7 or 8 in the first game as well. So what's that? 19 receptions in 2 games against this defense. This defense obviously has got better, but give me Puka Nacua. I think the game is going to be game on the line. Tight is going to be going to Puka a lot, isn't it? And they're going to be finding ways to make sure Puka Nacua is schemed open and he takes over the game while they're going to try. So give me Puka. I had a prop bet double on him last week that fell well short. I don't think he's going to have 2 quiet games in a row. So yeah, give me Puka Nacua.
I love all the optimism that we're always over. Never like an under 7.5.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I didn't see your message, Joe. Sorry. We don't. Life's too short to bet the under.
Bookies love us.
Yeah. Wow.
The only unders I like playing, to be fair, season-long ones, because it's just like 2 weeks of injury and you've really give yourself a good out there. But yeah, week-to-week ones, I much prefer.
Yeah. I'm not prop unders. I'm under totals, but very rarely prop unders. Yeah, I've had prop unders. It seems just too easy to bet and prop over than an under. But look, Byron, you say that 289 winners, plus our pre-season ones that'll definitely take us over 300 anyway.
Oh yeah.
So 289 winning in season bets. It really does pay to listen to good teams win, great teams cover. Just a quick look at our ATS picks because we've talked for him anyway. I'm 6-4. Byron's 5-5 in the playoffs. Joe 2-8. Joe stinks. We're all on the Denver Broncos, which is a bad sign. And the Patriots are definitely 4.5-point favorites, not 1.5-point underdogs. This guy 2 games this week, Byron.
I thought you did this slide.
2 games this week, Byron. We're all in the Broncos, and just me on the LA Rams, you 2 on the Seattle Seahawks.
So congrats, Patriots Rams Super Bowl then, yeah.
Patriots Rams Super Bowl.
Yeah.
What do you think would make the best? Just a quick one before we finish up. What do you actually think would make the best game for the Super Bowl?
Patriots Rams.
Patriots. Yeah, I think it's Patriots. And I'm saying Seahawks, but yeah, Rams either, I think.
Yeah. I think Patriots. I'd be so worried we'd get another rancid one.
Yeah, we don't have Bill Belichick there anymore, though. So
yeah, there is that. Excellent. Right, that is.
It is going to be a Sean versus Mike showdown, though, or Sean versus Sean, or Mike versus Mike. 4 teams, 2 names.
Excellent. And
not getting this elsewhere, are you?
Nice high-level insight and analysis.
Home Alone 3, Sean versus Mike.
Yeah.
Are you doing next week solo by choice, Paul? Yeah.
I think so. I think I might have to just take it all the way back. We're never going to get approved to cover any of these games, with this sort of spiel.
All right.
We will try, though, continually. Thanks for joining us for our NFL Conference Championship preview show. It's been a pleasure to have you watch and listen, assuming some people did. We'll be back with our Conference Championship review show on Tuesday, and then it's all into the Super Bowl. We're going to have some form of episode come out in the break. I don't know what it is yet. It might be the Mastermind final, which I've still not edited yet. I know. And then it will also be some content from me completing the 24 hours in Taco Bell challenge, which is going to be brutal. Must watch, though, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah. Maybe do a bit of live during that.
You should do a live element. Yeah, I enjoyed getting the questions last year from you guys. I don't know if I remember a single one of them. Well, I remember one of them definitely. Mm-hmm. Asking if I'd rather Carlisle got to League One. Oh, I got to the Championship or tell us win the Super Bowl because I was very offended that Carlisle's line was the Championship, not the Premier League. But right now I'd probably take Carlisle be a Football League club. So
why is Sparky trying to spark out the fans as well? I saw that last night.
Yeah, things are going great.
This is off recording. Right, thanks for watching. Follow Good Teams with Great Teams cover available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Podbean, Overcast. Video version available on YouTube at GTW_GTC for our Instagram, TikTok, where will be a Charlie pick and Blue Sky, and there'll be no more Carlisle United talk for the rest of the season.